What's going on, everybody? Ryan Pineda here. In today's video, we are going to be discussing whether we're in a bubble or not, and if we are, when's it going to burst? If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan Pineda. I'm an investor, mainly in real estate, also an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, and I'm a new podcaster. If you haven't checked out my podcast, go subscribe to my second channel, The Ryan Pineda Show. I'll link to it down below. But anyways, it seems like everything we see today is in a bubble. Real estate has reached all-time highs. Stocks are at all-time highs. Crypto is even going crazy at all-time highs. And when you look at it, it just feels like none of them should be. We still got really high unemployment. There are still a ton of businesses that are struggling, and we still have no idea when things are gonna go back to normal. And so when you look at all those things, it's easy for someone to say, well, we're in a bubble, there's no reason that these things should be happening. But if you know me, when it comes to investing and trying to predict what's going to happen, I don't like to make any assumptions. I try and look at everything from an objective point of view and figure out what's gonna happen going forward. And so for us to predict going forward, we actually have to look at the past. We have to see what decisions created what outcomes then. If we make those same decisions now, we should expect similar outcomes in the future. And so if our theory is that we're in a bubble and it's gonna burst at any moment, let us go back to the last bubble, which was in 2008. Back in 2005 to 2007, real estate went through a crazy bubble. It was very similar to how it is now. Prices were climbing like crazy. There was no inventory. There was bidding wars everywhere. Very similar circumstances. But there was one twist to it. People were getting loans that they didn't really qualify for. Basically, anyone with a heartbeat or a pulse could go apply for a mortgage, get approved, and buy any home that they wanted. Now, as you can imagine, that would create significant demand. That would cause prices to go up like crazy, and that's exactly what happened. But we ended up paying the price in 2008 when it all collapsed and completely destroyed our economy and the rest of the world's economy with it. It was the greatest recession that most of us have seen in our lifetime, and I really hope that it doesn't happen again. Now, as I said, that recession was caused by making bad loans that should have never been made in the first place. This real estate bubble is not like that. People who are getting loans and buying these houses now are qualified to buy them. Lending restrictions tightened up significantly since 2008, and it's still very difficult to get a loan today. You've really got to qualify to do it. And so lending is not causing today's inflated real estate prices. I've said this in previous videos, but really what's causing it is low inventory, low interest rates, and government manipulation. So even though 2005 through 2007 is very similar to what it is now with prices just running up, they're very different circumstances. But before we even talk about what's going on in today's market, let's look at the response to what happened after the crash. Since 2008, the government's been doing what's called quantitative easing. Essentially, they are just pumping money into the economy with stimulus. And along with this, they've been consistently lowering interest rates. Now, I'm not disagreeing at all with what they did then. It was absolutely necessary to pump money into the system and get things going. The problem is we've never really stopped since. We've consistently lowered interest rates, and when we tried to raise them at the end of 2018, the real estate market reacted negatively, and we had to start lowering them again. And now we've been caught up in the cycle where we pretty much have to continue pumping money into the economy and lowering rates to keep things going at the status quo. Now, I wasn't sure how they were gonna continue to pump money into the economy at these levels, but the pandemic gave the government the perfect reason to do it. And as we saw in 2020, we printed $3 trillion and lowered interest rates to all-time lows. And I think everyone would agree at that time, it was absolutely necessary because we were doing something that we had never done before. We literally shut the entire world down. Nobody could work, nobody could really spend money, everybody was scared. There wasn't really much of a choice but to pump money into the economy, much like 2008. But we had never pumped this much money all at once or lowered rates to this level. And since then, we've had a year to see how all of this would play out. Now, as this happened, analysts constantly said that this is not free money. It is gonna come at a cost. There's a severe risk of inflation from this. And here's the deal. We've now had a year to evaluate whether or not those predictions were true. We see that real estate has reached new all-time highs and is just continuing to go higher and higher every single month. We see that people are dumping all of that stimulus money into stocks. We see that many people are putting money into crypto because they don't trust the dollar anymore. These are all things that are now playing out a year later from that $3 trillion stimulus package. And even though it's easy to take actual stimulus money and throw it into crypto or stocks, real estate has many things going for it that are pushing it forward. It's got the lowest interest rates in history, the increased money supply that we talked about, but also the government manipulation is what's pushing it forward. Because the government is allowing forbearance and they're not letting anyone get foreclosed on, it's causing a huge shortage of homes for sale. Typically, when people get into trouble with their homes, they would go and sell it or get foreclosed on and the bank would put it up for auction. But none of those houses are ever coming to market because the government won't allow it. And because of all of those factors, real estate is almost guaranteed to continue to go up. So obviously, we can see the ramifications of printing $3 trillion a year ago and then having a bunch of government manipulation and restrictions. But what does that actually mean going forward? Well, we just saw that Biden printed another $1.9 trillion. Most likely, that $1.9 trillion is gonna have a very similar effect to the $3 trillion we printed a year ago. I think that money is going to be absorbed into more real estate, more stocks, more crypto, more other assets like NFTs, like trading cards, Pokemon cards, all of these crazy things that people are buying now. Because the thing is, people are starting to lose their faith in the dollar as we continue to print more and more money. So if I had to make a prediction, which is not financial advice, but just my own opinion of what I'm going to do, I think the next 6 months are going to be more of the same of what's been happening. And I actually think it's gonna be more like the next 12 months. That's how I'm operating for my investments. I'm gonna keep buying real estate. I'm gonna keep buying crypto. Honestly, I'm not a big stocks guy, so I probably won't buy too much of that. But I think with just buying more real estate and buying more crypto, I'm gonna make a lot of money from my investments in the next 12 months. And you might be asking, well, Ryan, what about after 12 months? Will the bubble burst then? What's gonna happen? It's almost impossible to predict past that because we just don't know how all this is gonna play out. But I can tell you in another 6 months or 12 months, if we get another stimulus bill and they continue to print more money, then it'll probably just keep pushing out this timeline of growth. I do believe the government's plan is just to continue printing money to avoid disaster. Mainly because the moment we stop printing and the moment we raise interest rates is the moment this bubble finally bursts. I really do think it's that simple. But I don't see that bubble popping in 2021, so I'm gonna keep buying these assets. And if you're interested in buying these real estate assets like I am, make sure you go check out futureflipper.com. We've got a lot of great courses and coaching programs that can help you scale your business or get it started. We have a bunch of students who are just now getting into real estate investing and they're getting deals even in a competitive market. So even though there is low inventory, there's still plenty of opportunity. But anyways, if you got value out of this video, do me a big favor and hit the like button. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Go follow me on the rest of my socials. Until next time, peace.